I felt a lot of that vulnerability as well in the single Pale Blue Dot. You start off the journey of the song with the retrospection and the reflection as you were as a kid in the whole alien reference. But that was really awesome because using sort of like the earth as a metaphor in terms of like feeling small, right? Like yeah, the line that I really wanted to ask you about was this little feeling of feeling so little. It's all I've got.
Yeah.
It's both profound and vulnerable. Um, Especially that tag. Like for me, it's like it's all I've got. It's the one that really caught my ear. What does this lyric mean to you, and how does it tie into you as a person and the rest of the album's themes?
I think the place that it came from, the first kind of like level of meaning for me, I guess, was that I was thinking about this image of the pale blue dot, which um, is an image that was taken by NASA of Earth, but from 3.8 billion miles away. I just kind of posted a video on my Instagram explaining a bit more of the backstory, but that's the gist of it. And in that photo, there's almost nothing, and Earth is zero point 0.7 of a pixel. It's so small. And it looks like a little speck of dust in like there's like a lens flare, so it looks like it's in a beam of light from the sun. And when I remember how small we are, that kind of like uneasy existential feeling that is the same feeling I had as a kid, looking up at the stars and thinking about, oh, one of my questions when I was a kid was like, if the universe is infinite, then where is it? And if it's not infinite, then where is it? Like, and that feeling that like, ooh, there's something, I always found comfort in that. And I don't know why. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, but I think maybe it's like realizing that it can't hurt you. I don't know. There's something nice in that. And so to me, that was kind of that, like, and I go back to that feeling when I feel like everything's so big and my problems, oh, this thing's happening and this, nah. And like, I'm so lost in my little fucking world that I forget that like, it's all just a speck of dust. And so that was like the original kind of like, that's why it's all I've got. It's like this thing that I keep coming back to. Um, and then, and then I think it kind of like takes on its own layers of meaning, like a good line does, and has like a little bit of cleverness in the wordplay of it, which I always like when there's like nice wordplay, but then that's not the point, but it's there anyway. Like if you can manage to get them both at once. So yeah, I
Mm.
like that one.
Yeah, as a listener, initially because I remember having those feelings as well as a child, and it
Mm,
wasn't sort of a
mm,
comfort zone for me in terms of wow, I'm so small. I'm the equivalent of a speck of dust, and that therefore I take comfort in that because all I've got. It was more like what's the point? Like there, especially as a
yeah.
teenager, it's like what's the point of anything if nothing matters? But it took me back to that time just with that little line, and I didn't realize that it's all I've got was more a little bit of like a sort of a comfort zone. The intention that you had for it, but
Yeah. But
all in all, it's very very
that
cool.
is interesting. Like it is, you just kind of sparked a thought for me that I'm gonna have to think about later because it doesn't have to do with our interview, but this like, oh, is teenagehood, is the question, what's the point, kind of like a core part of teenagehood and of that part of your life, and then is life just about trying to answer that question? Okay, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Mm. Yeah, I love the questions that it brings up. Like I love when you listen to it. Even with the Sonics too, it has this very I don't know. How would you describe the Sonics that you chose for that song?
I would say that, well, I had this realization the other day, actually, that we were talking earlier about like what was I listening to as a kid, and one of the things that really influenced me back then was a friend of mine lent me, it was like a Nirvana box set, and it was the CD with all the like the demo tracks. And I didn't know Nirvana. So to me, Nirvana was these like super lo-fi demo tracks. And you know, Kurt Cobain is really the like the dynamics, right? Like little, big,
Yeah.
and but also the rawness and everything. And I think that's kind of like where that that might be the thread I was pulling on for the production. Um, and it's funny because I often find like, oh man, like my production is too PC. You know, I do this thing where the verses sound so different from the choruses sometimes, and so like that was something I was actually fighting on this album, like and trying to find like efficiency and being more simple. And then this record, it was like, no, actually, it's perfectly fine. Like this is exactly right. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it does. And I did hear uh I didn't pinpoint it to Nirvana, but just that era of music, that grunge era where, you
yeah,
just had these, yeah, like you said, little, then loud.
yeah.
And but that loud feels really good. Like you want that loud like in that moment. And I feel like Pale Blue Dot has the loud that you want in the right time. And it doesn't feel, it's not overbearingly loud. It's kind of like the right loud to express and like the emotion that you want to feel in that moment is kind of like where it needs to be, basically.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.